Hello, everybody. We're back again with another political astrology video. Before we start, I will say we won't be here next week because Kathy's traveling and I've got my book launch next week on Tuesday. So we're just going to have to give it a miss. I know you love us, but one week you will survive unless I just do one on my own. We'll see. But anyway, um, I'm Louise Edington, Cosmic Owl Astrology. And for those listening on Kathy's channel, my channel is Cosmic Owl Astrology. I'm an astrologer, obviously, and author. My new book series is coming out on August the 12th, which is a very beautiful day amongst a lot of chaos. So there's the book. And Louise Edington is my website. I have a membership called The Nest, and I also have kind of two levels. I have one called The Spiral Weave as well. I also write on Substack as Cosmic Owl Astrology, and I write daily astro updates. It's my way of tuning into what's happening on a daily basis, and you get those free. So there's lots of other things. I do lots. So anyway, Kathy.
I'm Kathy Beal. My website is empowermentunlimited.net. I have all my forecasts there, my schedule. My YouTube channel is Professional Aquarian, and my Patreon is patreon.com/Kathy Beal, where at the lowest membership level, even $1 a month, you get access to smart-ass daily forecasts that will just focus what's going on. I
Can I
also
just say
have
one? Oh,
yeah.
yeah, you finish. No, you finish first, then I'll say one more thing.
I have a Facebook group called the Astro Insight Lounge where
Mm.
we talk about how astrology is playing out on the ground. And there's a lot of discussion there and a lot of political stuff there.
And it's the only astrology group I play in, really, these days. It's a good
Thank
group.
you.
My one other thing is that I do want to say, I mean, this year so far, oh God, we're in August already, but it has been really, really hectic and busy for me. And so I'm giving a week's notice that, and because I've got travel coming up as well, I'm actually going to take right through the rest of August, September, and October off consultations. So if you want one, you should book one now. But when I come back in November, the price will be going up too. I meant to increase the price a little while ago and forgot. so, so I'm giving myself a break from consultations. So there you go. So if you want one, get in there quick. Oh, all righty. So the energy is chaotic, but first, Kathy's here with the news and how it's played out and how it's playing out with what we've been saying.
We've been talking about astrological pushback. We've also pointed out that the Mercury retrograde was going to bring a lot of things up for reconsideration or discovering things that have been going on in the past. So use that as your framework for what I have. Trump fired the Labor Statistics Commissioner over the jobs data. Yeah, statistics. Okay. In the continuing saga of It Is Not Going Away, aka the Epstein files, Ghislaine Maxwell was moved to a low security prison in Texas after talking to the Department of Justice official who was formerly Trump's personal attorney. And this was contrary to Bureau of Prison policy, because if you're a convicted sex offender, you're not supposed to be in a low security prison. Bloomberg has reported that the FBI redacted Trump's names from the Epstein files. Surprise. The House Oversight Committee subpoenaed the Department of Justice for the files due by the 15th. We'll see. They've also subpoenaed the Clintons, James Comey, Merrick Garland, Loretta Lynch, and other former, mostly attorneys general. Robert Mueller as well, I think. No, not on this one. Mercury retrograde has gone over Obama's son, and that's S-U-N, he does not have an S-O-N, and Pam Bondi is convening a grand jury to look into Tulsi Gabbard's criminal referral of Obama and others regarding the Russia interference in the 2016 election. Latest speculation is that they're going to file they're going to convene the grand jury in Florida, not in DC, because guess why?
Of course.
Um,
Yeah.
More in the retribution department, which is going to come up in the astrology that Louise will be pointing out. The Department of Justice is launching an investigation into the New York Attorney General's criminal convictions of her cases against Trump, Trump Org, and the NRA as civil rights violations. Uh, all right. In Texas, when we last met, Trump had called Abbott and said, "I want you to get me 5 more seats for the Republicans." So there was this
Well,
redistricting.
I believe Trump actually and his lot created the map, not Abbott, I believe. Yeah.
That was on my list. Yes.
Oh,
So that he,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he
I'm
calls us
just
and says, "I want you
horrified
to
by it.
want you to do this." The Texas House members, not the Senate members, enough of them
Mm,
fled the state to break the quorum. There is precedent. This has happened several times in Texas history. It never eventually keeps the legislation from being passed because the numbers are so against the Dems, but it does
mm.
draw a lot of attention. So what has happened is that Paxton, the governor, and the AG of Texas, I'm sorry, Paxton, the AG, and Abbott, the governor, have both filed lawsuits. Abbott went straight to the Supreme Court of Texas to remove the head of the Democratic caucus. Paxton said, "Hey, wait, you don't have the power to do that. I do." So we got some nice infighting going on. And this happened as Mars moved into Libra. Mars action into sign of courts, many other things.
Hmm.
And that's when one of the Democratic reps revealed that the map came from Trump's aides, not from the Texas GOP. So that rolled out later in this mess. Where we stand as we're recording is that the Senator Cornyn asked the FBI to go after the Dems, and FBI agents are refusing to do it because they're telling the top brass they don't have the legal authority. All right, more in Mercury retrograde. The Smithsonian says it will reinstate the references to Trump's impeachments that were removed from an exhibit on the presidents. I don't think they're back just yet. Meanwhile, 2 sections of the Constitution disappeared from government websites. One about due process and foreign gifts and tariffs. The Library of Congress, once there was an outcry, said, "Oh dear, coding error." The National Park Service is reinstating a Confederate statue that was toppled during the Black Lives Matter protests of a Confederate Governor General, Albert Pike. All right, so as Mars moved into Libra and started to set off a grand trine that we'll be talking about more, lawyers, including a January 6th prosecutor, have formed the Washington Litigation Group specifically to push back against the overreach of the administration. The U.S. Air Force said on Thursday that it is going to deny all transgender service members who have served between 15 and 18 years the option to retire early. So they're denying retirement with benefits, and instead they will separate these people from their duties without benefits. Now, people who served longer than 18 years are still getting theirs. So, uh,
But
lawsuits
mm,
coming. A federal court
mhm.
has entered a 2-week restraining order against further construction or anything going on, actually, at Alligator Alcatraz for probable environmental law violations. Another federal court has restored funding to a nonprofit called Launch Alaska that was cut after a grant had been awarded. This has Defense Department connections. An injunction has been entered blocking the administration from spending funds that had been allocated to a FEMA program with state and federal governments called BRIC, Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities. Blocked the administration wanted to just reabsorb this, and the federal court has said, no, you may not use this for non-BRIC purposes. And the last thing I saw right before we came on was that a 3-judge panel has told Judge Boasberg in ongoing immigration litigation, that he doesn't have the authority to sanction Department of Justice officials for violating his orders. And that's where we
And
are going
and
into
did
the
you
full moon.
did I miss the firing of these FBI agents just because they had like one had gone to a concert with Peter Strzok and one had done this and one had done that? They're
I
just
missed that one.
firing. They're oh they're yeah yeah, Patel is firing these FBI agents just because they don't like the cases they've been on, or in that case, the fact they went to a rock concert with Peter Strzok, who they don't like, and that's talk about retribution.
Well,
And then
retribution,
we're also
also
sorry, go on.
short-sightedness, because once they're
Yes.
cut loose, why wouldn't they talk?
Oh, well, they are talking, so it's great. But also Peter Thiel, Palantir got another contract worth 10 billion, or Palantir did, yeah, I said that, about data and surveillance. And so, he's kind of getting more and more contracts with the government as well, just like Musk as well. They're infiltrating the whole structure of the government, really, the tech bros, aren't they? So, aspects, but we're going to give the whole picture first and we're going to talk about it together a bit. So, I'm just uh, putting the chart where we're at. I'm going to draw some lines because I am going to go through the aspects day by day as we usually do and talk about what aspects are important. But really, they're all kind of speaking to each other for quite some time. So, first of all, we have this massive air grand trine with Mars in Libra. Mars just moved into Libra. Uranus is in Gemini, but will station retrograde at this 1 degree mark. So Uranus is as far as it's going to get into Gemini. Pluto is currently retrograde, but these three are really active mainly this week, but it's kind of going to ripple out for quite a while. And they will be really kind of every time, and one of the aspects I mention will get exact, that will activate this grand trine. Plus, it's all pointing at Saturn and Neptune in Aries, and this is activating this mini grand trine between these three, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, that is active for months, basically. So months and months and months, on and off, pretty much. Other things I want to mention quickly before we kind of talk about it a bit deeper is that I use what's called the true calculation of the moon's nodes. If you're not very astrology savvy, there's the osculating or true calculation, and that's where they kind of move back and forth. Or the mean calculation is averaged out. I use the true calculation because I'm one of those weird people who my nodes change signs if we with the different calculations. But why I like it as well is that just right through eclipse season, the nodes, even the one that moves kind of back and forth wildly, the true calculation, sits at the same degree. It's now at the degree it's going to be right through the eclipses and for a few weeks afterwards. Is kind of a real phenomenon that the nodes just kind of sit at this point. So that's another active degree. So we've got the 1-2 degree mark. I go in as far as the first 5 degrees, I would say, really active. Then we've got that 18 degree mark, very strong. Anyway, I'll let Kathy talk about other things because there's other things to mention, many other things.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to elaborate on this business about a grand trine.
Mhm.
Mars is an influence that activates, it sets things in motion. So we've had this existing easy flow between two change agents, Uranus whipping up change and disruption in information and conversations and data and paper and files that seem that word
Yeah,
seem files. No,
yeah.
this is for the listener. You've heard the word files a lot
Mm,
lately. And then
mhm,
it's been in this really easy flow with Pluto, which is evolutionary change, structural change, dark secrets, big power money, and also involving technology, which Uranus
mm,
rules. So this has been floating
mm,
around for a while. Now Mars gets into the picture, and it's time to get things moving. There'll be lawsuits, there'll
mhm,
be acts, there'll be aggression, there'll be stuff being put into motion, which is going to be a theme through next week.
mhm.
And at the
I want,
same, yeah.
yeah, Mars as well is moving really fast now as well, which means fast action, by the way, because Mars was stalled by the retrograde in Leo that we had recently. So, this is things really kind of coming out fast, I think. Yeah, sorry, just adding to it. Yeah.
Right. And when you have a round robin of energy like that, you always look for something to ground it, something to bring it down. And in this case, there are actually, I see two strings, but the one that's
Oh,
immediate
there
and
are.
easy to see is
Mm,
Saturn and Neptune opposite Mars. So there's something here about
mhm,
acting on delusion or lies from authority, Saturn, Neptune. And the other one is that Mercury up there in the sky. Now, Mercury has been retrograde since July 18th, and it
mm,
is sitting in this configuration as we write this, as we talk about this. It's sitting at the degree where it's going to turn around on the 11th. So it's
mhm,
hovering in this spot, kind of stoking the fire and stoking the fire. And those fires are going directly into this flow of mental energy, of action, of taking action through the courts, of talking about stuff, of attacking things. And stuff
mhm,
that has come to light during this period of the Mercury retrograde is
mhm,
fueling what's going on. And this will be a
mm,
theme of the week. And as the week goes on, these different ends of this configuration, different parts of it are going to line up exactly, exactly,
mhm,
exactly. But the whole machinery will be
mm.
operating all week. It's just that parts
So,
of it will come into focus more than others. Okay, now I'll be quiet.
yeah, no, I just had one other thought to add to what you were saying that for less astrology literate as well, Mercury is the ruler or guide for Gemini, where Uranus is part of this, and this is so much kind of um, files, information, ideas. All this is crazy, and just to add towards it, Mercury is also the ruler or guide for this south node that where the nodes are stuck. So, and this is the releasing end of the nodes. So, more information coming out for sure in the sun sign in Leo. Um, Interestingly, this is also quite close to the North Node in the USA's chart, which is at 6 Leo. So
Mhm.
it just there's so much fire and air and information, and these two are retrograde, the string of one of the kites, as Kathy called it. So that's kind of going back and kind of um, um, revealing things as well in Aries. So Saturn and Neptune are kind of quite well, what's the, they're opposites in many ways.
Antithetical.
Boundaries and that's the word I couldn't think of it. Boundaries
Mhm.
and boundlessness. So, but retrograde, they are moving at the same degree together for a while before they move back into Pisces later. And so they are really kind of revealing things. And interestingly, though, this is very close to the current Venus star point, which I work with, which is at 2 Aries, which was March the 22nd. So that's revisiting older things again. So there's so much coming out in the news. And it almost seems like, oh, it's too much, same old. But I think it's kind of important that we keep track of kind of both sides of it, what the court cases are, what's being revealed kind of behind the news. because, for example, the Peter Thiel or Palantir contract kind of got drowned in a lot of the other big crazy news, which is probably what they want, to be quite honest. So, so, I'm not saying you have to keep every listener has to keep on top of everything, but it's just awareness, right? So, which is also very air. Anyway, yeah. So just the elements, fire and air. Just the elements, fire and air. There's so much, like it's like a wildfire, and there are literally wildfires, big wildfires at the moment too. So.
Wildfire is an excellent analogy or metaphor for this. And with Mars in Libra, it will just be whatever is going on will be stoked and stoked and stoked. We have said of certain sagas that they're not going away. And this is ensuring it. It's going to put a lot of passionate energy behind the discussions and the stuff that's going to come out. Some of it's going to be salacious. Some of it's going to be shocking. Some of it's going to involve money. Some of it's going to involve horrific crimes. Some of it's going to involve a tremendous amount of lying. And there will be action on it. And that is the theme of the next week of getting unstuck. And we'll see many points at which there'll be giant windows, pushes like, whoa, do this, whoa, do this. And now that I say that, I am reminded that gravity is really, really strong in a certain country on this planet. And there may be news involving windows, actually.
Oh gosh, yeah. It's just kind of crazy. Okay, so I am going to do what we usually do and go through the major aspects day by day. I'm not going to move the chart to exactly on those aspects, but I'm going to draw a line to show them, those that are more interested, how this kind of unfolds on a day by day basis. So just keep in mind this pattern and the players we've talked about if you want to kind of really tune into this energy. So we start today, we're on 8-8. I don't do that thing, but this is 8-8. And so the exact aspect today is Mars opposing Saturn. Okay, so that's happening today. And then I'm just going to go one day ahead at a time. So on tomorrow, the 9th, we actually have the Aquarius full moon. So all this is happening under a full moon as well, that is quite powerful and is actually square to Juno, which is our sacred contracts with each other, and conjunct Pallas Athena, which is the justice warrior. So usually for women. So the women energy is coming in there, or divine feminine, or whatever you want to call it. So full moon energy heightened as well, especially because we're going into the eclipses. So it's a big week. August, back to August the 9th as well. Mars, stop. Sorry, babe. Sorry, everybody. I hit the wrong button. August the 9th as well, Mars will actually oppose Neptune. So Mars opposes Saturn today, Neptune tomorrow. So remember, Mars is a real activator. The faster moving planets are usually activators in many ways. So then on to the 10th, Mars again. Mars will exactly make that unbroken flow aspect to Pluto. Now, one interesting thing is that Mars and Pluto are the traditional and modern ruler of the sign of Scorpio, which we just saw was included in the full moon. And this is, well, Juno was the goddess of women and children too. She was a lot about supporting women and children. So we're hearing a lot of that coming out with like Epstein files and things like that. And I think, there's going to be more, but also I think, it's going to be activating a lot of things for other people as well. So memories coming out. And the sun is exactly square to Juno on that day as well, as these two really dig deep and bring up the more information, I think. So Then on the 11th, another big day. Mercury stations direct on the 11th, so start slowly to move forward again. How many days do you really kind of use for stationary planets,
Oh,
Kathy?
I wait until they move off the
Leave the
degree of their
degree.
station.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. So I usually estimate it's about 5 days, but it can differ, if people ask. But I usually wait till they've left that degree. But on the same day as the 11th, Ceres stations retrograde, and Mercury and Ceres have been in an ongoing aspect, unbroken flow, trine, fire to each other. And as I talk about a little bit in my book on Ceres, these two are kind of boundary crossers in many ways. So there's going to be some more about how, all this news that's coming out and things that we're seeing are not um, really meeting our needs. We're not. I saw there's somebody who's just left the Republican Party and gone and registered as a Democrat. I think he was an AG or something. Can't
No, he's a
remember his
lieutenant
name.
gov. He was an
Oh,
official in
mm,
Georgia, right? Like lieutenant
yeah,
governor or
yeah,
something.
that's it. Yeah, but his exact words were something about we're not caring for our neighbours. You know, um, so that's that kind of energy, really. So you might see more of that too. Okay.
Say one
So
thing before
also,
you
yes, please do.
before you finish this day. I'll let you finish the day, and then before you move on, I
Oh,
have something I want to say.
yeah, I was just going to say Saturn and Neptune are in aspect. Sorry, Saturn and Uranus are in their exact um, opportunity aspect sextile on the 11th. So it's activating all that energy again. I'll let you
So
elaborate.
two things in that regard. First is
Mm,
with Mercury spending a number of days just sitting at the degree where it's doing its turnaround, this can slow it can slow the
mhm,
sensation of time, which is fascinating
mhm,
because things do feel so fast and furious right now. So there's this paradox of all the time in the world to look and see crazy things happening. Um,
mhm,
Secondly, with Saturn and three things. Secondly,
mm,
Mercury is stationing direct while the moon is void of course, while the moon has
mm,
finished making, after the moon has finished making any major aspects. So this adds to the sensation of hanging in the air. The 11th could be a
mm,
very odd day. And
mm,
one thing that
yeah.
happens while we're in that state of suspense is windows of opportunity opening between Saturn and Uranus, opportunities to change something, to break out of something, to change a structure, to take some kind of
Mm,
wild action. There could be a pronouncement that comes from authority that has us all going, what the what? Any
mhm.
number of possibilities here.
And just to add to that as well, though, the Saturn Uranus aspect, to go back to rulership, Saturn is the traditional ruler of Aquarius, and Uranus is the modern one. So these aspects are just digging up all kinds of stuff. But yes, there's a lot of kind of like this weird kind of fast and slow aspects going on this week, really starting today as well with the Mars opposite Saturn, wouldn't you say? With
Hmm.
especially with
Yes.
Mars sat with Saturn, sorry, in Mars' own sign of Aries. That's going to kind of feel like fast but break, fast break. So anyway,
Hmm.
yeah, on to the 12th. So we have this big aspect. I did a whole video on this, if people want to go and look at it. Jupiter and Venus meet at 14 Cancer. They meet every few months. So, a Venus Jupiter conjunction is always kind of, it's a, they're big planets, so it's big, but they happen quite often. But this one is conjunct a fixed star that I don't normally talk about, but Sirius is called the son of our sun by many people. Um, People who work with the fixed stars more in the modern day often say that it's of the nature of Venus and Jupiter. More traditional ones say it's of the nature of Jupiter and Mars. So take your pick. But either way, This is a big conjunction. You will be able to see all three in the east in early morning before sunrise, rising before the sun. That's where they're coming. So that's always interesting when planets are actually rising, because that means they're kind of really coming into this new beginning. And but it's extra interesting to the political videos because this is the sun of the USA, pretty much. It's at 13 Cancer. So that's huge. And it's aspecting some of the people's charts we'll quickly look at. I noticed, though, we do have an exact quincunx to Pallas Athena in Aquarius, who is the strategist and justice warrior. So that's an itch you cannot scratch kind of aspect. And she's kind of saying, no, we want to do this for the future. We want to do this, right? So there's a lot of contemplation. We talked about Kamala Harris last week, that she is somebody, even in my comments, suggested she might do for the Democrats, say, or that side, the left, what Russell Vought has done for MAGA, kind of create a strategy for the future. So, because she's not running for office, she said. So, anyway, interesting. Any thoughts on that big conjunction?
A couple. The first is this is going to really amplify awareness of food supply, families, women, children, and that together, it's in the ninth house of legislation, of policy, of belief systems. And with it being in that adjustment aspect to Pallas, I would like to point out that Gloria Allred has re-entered the conversation. She is a powerful, powerful attorney who represented, I believe, Katie Johnson, who was underage when she said things happened to her for which she sued the current now White House occupant, and for fear for her life, dropped her allegations and her charges. So bottom line is this is going to bring a lot more women coming out. We said the Epstein question was not going away, and this particular configuration of Jupiter and Sirius and Venus slams, hammers Trump's Achilles heel, having to do with his agreements, his relationships, who he hangs with, and how he makes money. So,
oh, can I add
watch,
another thing to it? You kind of activated the thought about
please.
with the thing about food, because Venus is also very much about kind of earthly kind of matters, because 2 days later Venus will square Ceres exactly in Aries, and people are going to start to realize how these tariffs are kicking in, that we are the Republicans are out there going, we've brought in billions in taxes, since the tariffs started, but it's not the other countries that are paying those taxes, it's us. So it's a regressive tax on the people. And this, I think, all of this together is going to, people are going to start realizing, that the food issues, there might be shortages, but as well because of immigrants and things like that. So yeah, 2 days later, Venus exactly squares Ceres. But again, they're so close in aspect. But of course, Ceres has just turned retrograde as well. So she's going to be revisiting all these issues as well. So what a week. So also on the 14th, as well as Venus square Ceres, Mercury will actually sextile Mars, which is an aspect of opportunity. And Mercury is still at its station direct degree, very potent. So I'll just point at them. So they're 4 degrees, fire and air, information, justice, courts. Elaborate, Kathy.
It's handing the baton. It's saying, here, look what we found out. Go do something about it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Walk
And
the
then,
talk.
yes. Then on the 15th, just a quick mention that Venus, because she is trotting through the chart right now because she's moving fast. Venus hits that 18-degree mark and aspects those nodes. As I mentioned, they are sitting still right through the eclipses. but she's also in a unbroken flow trine aspect to Juno. So more women and children's issues and our sacred contracts issues with each other coming up. So much going on. Yeah. Any more to say on that one?
Mamala, that's all I'll say. We'll
Oh
go
yeah,
on.
Momala.
Mark,
Yes.
August 15th, Mamala. Okay.
So I'm not going to go into great detail on this. I just follow the quarter moon. So on the 16th we have the last quarter moon. So the moon will be in Taurus over. Well, it's a bit earlier in the day, squaring the sun. So we start to head back down to the releasing to the next new moon. And that's kind of called the crisis in consciousness phase by Dane Rudyard, because it's kind of like we look at what's happening and we kind of go within and go, oh my God, all this is happening. So, yeah. So the 17th, Venus again, Venus and Mars really active the next couple of weeks. Venus still in Cancer will trine Nessus. And Nessus is the revealer of abuses of power. The book stops here. Why this is really interesting is because this squares Donald Trump's, Nessus squares Donald Trump's eclipse energy and his Uranus energy, so, and his moon's nodes. So he's born on a moon, a full moon eclipse, and Nessus has been activating that again and again. And I've been tracking that for ages, and it's not only revealing that his plan was to like abuse this power even more, but it's also showing us that he's abusing his power even more and more, right? So Venus values people, women. So what might come out on that, around that one? Any more to say on that one?
It's not going away. The
It's
only
not
thing
going away.
I do want to mention, with the nodes sitting where they are, okay, this is where we're headed, what we're moving toward, the North Node in Pisces, opposite what we're going away from, what we're releasing. And these form a configuration in Trump's chart that absolutely stresses out Uranus, the disruptor planet, in his public house. And in the way I
Yes.
look at charts, it's the ruler of his health. So,
Yeah.
this is going to be in place weeks.
Weeks.
So we are in a long-term window of absolute destabilization for this
Yep.
individual,
Yep.
health and
So
career.
yes, exactly. So on the 18th, Mercury and Mars aspect each other again. So if you remember, on the 14th, just 4 days before, Mercury was at its station direct degree, 4 degrees, and Mars was at 4 degrees. Now they aspect each other again because Mercury is much faster moving and has now, or no, still going slow, but has moved off the degree of its station direct anyway. And so that's more coming out. Yeah.
Act on it, act on it, act on it. Another
Yes.
slew of batons being handed over.
Oh, yeah. And on this day as well, the 18th, the sun over here, we haven't talked much about this, or Eris, the table turner. The sun joins the picture in Leo, its own sign. The sun's home is Leo. More fire, activating the table turner and fighter for the outsiders, I think, Eris in Aries. So fight is going to start coming out going, no, this is not working. And on the 18th as well, Neptune and Pluto perfect their sextile, their aspect of opportunity that's still part of that ongoing activation, even though Mars has moved on from part of that kite. And so, it's just another point, really. Neptune and Pluto really has a sense of revealing what's been hidden and secrets, right, Kathy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, on the 19th, the sun again will actually trine Chiron, this unbroken flow aspect. And these two are really kind of moving together, Eris and Chiron, saying, what do we do to heal this in many ways? Because it's revealing the big wounds, and so this shines a big light on that uh, around what else has come out. So yeah, do you want to say more? Mhm.
Well, it has something to do with the ongoing, I mean, everything that the Epstein scandal represents
Mm.
is
Yeah.
tied up in this, in
Oh.
what power has done and what men have done, and it's all part of it, and it's people just saying, nope, standing up. This is the moment
Mhm.
in the 1970s film Network where Howard Beale, Peter Finch, tells the
Mhm.
newscaster loses it on camera and tells people to open the windows and start screaming, I'm mad as
Mm.
hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. This is that day.
Yeah, and it's not just men, because I think we're going to find out more about what role Ghislaine Maxwell had in
Oh,
all of this and
absolutely.
her history,
Absolutely.
and it's that kind of energy. I think we're really going to discover eventually from all of this that this network is huge, to be quite
Hmm.
honest. Yeah, but see, because I believe Virginia Gouffre, who took her own life earlier this year, she said that Maxwell, I can't remember the exact words, it was worse than Epstein. So
Hmm.
there you go. So Mars again on the 20th squares Pholus, and that's that cause and effect, Pandora's box. Small actions have huge consequences. In Capricorn, which is really a sign of our institutions and things. But this is going to be reflected in all ways. You had a thought about that, Kathy, when we talked before. Um, I
Oh,
think.
this is be careful what you did. I mean, the fact
Mm,
that there's now this criminal referral about the 2016
mhm,
election, that's in play. The attacks on the New York Attorney General, oh, that's going to open a
mhm.
whole bunch of other stuff up. Uh, so this is when things start backfiring badly.
Well, yeah, yeah. Let's hope. But Pholus does have that kind of impact of you thought there would be no consequences for that action back then,
Well,
and
this
oh.
is genie out of the bottle. Okay, that's another way of
Hmm.
looking at it. Genie's
Yeah,
flying out of the
it is.
bottle, and that you can't control a genie. Good luck.
No, you cannot. And so Venus on the 21st, moving towards the end of Cancer, squares Eris, and of course you'll square Chiron. So it's following what the Sun did. Remember that Venus has been boosted by this big conjunction with Jupiter and Sirius. She's moving really fast. She really cares for women, children, our safety, basis of security in Cancer, building on what's come out before. Um, anything to add to that?
Big attacks on Trump on that day and the day before, building up to it
Mm-hmm.
because he has Venus at 25 Cancer in his own chart, and it's conjunct Saturn at 23 Cancer, meaning, to translate this, there's going to be stuff involving women, stuff involving stuff he's done with money. The
Mm-hmm.
11th house, his agreements or his relationship with Congress. There's going to be
Mm-hmm.
there will be massive attacks against him because of things involving women, family,
Mm-hmm.
and money.
Yeah.
Something's going to come to a head
20.
around the 21st. Okay.
Yes. Then on the 22nd, the sun moves into Virgo, so it's bye bye Leo season. The sun moves into the sign of service and details and filing and just Mercury guided sign as well. And we head towards the eclipses because the eclipses are in Virgo and Pisces. But so we'll have about a month of the sun in Virgo. Anything to add to that as we build up? So,
Nope. If you go,
no,
I'll have something to say when you
yeah,
show the moon.
yeah. The 22nd is Venus square Chiron. That kind of adds to what I just said about that. And then we're going to finish, because there's so much happening, with the next new moon. So that's on the 23rd. at 0 Virgo. I will say that fixed star Regulus is there. Fixed star Regulus moved to 0 Virgo at the end of 2011, and that's the royal star. So that's quite a potent point at the moment. And the 0 degrees are also potent points of any chart. And we started with all these planets around 0, 1 degree ish. And so but yeah, carry on. You say more about that one now.
Well, two things I want to point out about this. One is that Uranus, and also in a Mercury ruled sign. So this disruptive, awakening, liberating influence is
Mm-hmm.
in a challenging, action demanding relationship with that new moon. So this new moon is going to force us to think things differently, to do things differently. And the second thing is
Or the
that
yard.
Saturn, yes, that's exactly where I'm heading. Saturn and Neptune are in an adjustment aspect, and Pluto is in an adjustment aspect, meaning that there is something here about having to change things and having to think of new ways, new systems. System is broken, have to go outside the system, and this is happening in Trump's first house of appearance, personality, who he is. This is all coming
Mm-hmm.
at him. Focus
Mm-hmm.
on him. System is broken. He's the poster child for it's broken. It's got to be done
Mm-hmm.
differently.
And Harris actually even said that in her interview. The system is broken. So,
That's what
it's going to
I'm
become
referring to.
more, yeah, it's going to become more and more apparent. I just wanted to remind everybody. So
Right.
if not
That's where
everybody
it's coming
watched
from.
her. Yeah, uh-huh. And a lot of people have been saying the system's broken for a long time, but to have a former VP and presidential candidate say it, and to not run for office again because the system's broken is huge, right? So,
So
okay,
something,
so
we'll be moving into something different. And you can do this in your own life, but notice how the vibe, how the atmosphere nationally and internationally shifts into something different because it will be
mm,
apparent by the time of this new moon, 23rd,
mm,
24th on the East Coast. It'll be
yeah,
apparent that we've got to come up with completely different ways for doing things. This isn't just out of the box. The box has
mm,
been blown up and we have to build from scratch.
yeah. Is
And
it
we have the
24th?
latitude to do
I've
it.
got this set for the East Coast, by the way. So
Really?
anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah,
Oh,
DC.
maybe it's the 20, maybe it's the 20. Okay, it's the 22nd and the 23rd. That's it. I know that it
Yeah.
straddles nights.
Oh yeah,
See,
it's
I'm a little
22nd.
confused. I'm
Well,
confused.
Mercury is stationing direct, and also, where I am, it'll be on the it'll be
22nd.
just after midnight. It'll on the
Mhm.
Pacific. It'll be on the 22nd. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, not many people. Only huge California, which is bigger than most. So, all righty. So, whose chart do we quickly want to look at? Because we wanted to go into some more detail to give you this bigger picture of this next couple of weeks. Is just massive. So we're not going to spend ages on people's charts, but do you want to start
No.
with Musk or?
Yeah, real quick, Musk. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
three charts real quick.
Yeah, yeah. So Musk, first of all, he's been quiet. We don't think that's going to keep going. So I'm going to bring it back to the Venus Jupiter conjunction, just to kind of center us in where we're at. So that's on August the 12th, the day my book comes out. It's right on his Mercury and his ascendant. His ascendant is the same degree as the USA's. Huge.
Sun.
Yes, as the USA's sun. Sorry. Yeah, didn't finish that sentence. That's
Sorry.
huge. Pallas Athena is on his north node, justice. But I just think he's suddenly going to be way more in the news, or saying more, or doing more. Or you had some other thoughts on it, Cassie?
Yeah,
Because
and the reason I think
mm,
that, not just because Jupiter, Venus,
mm-hmm,
Sirius on his planet of communication, Mercury, someone's gonna he's gonna be look at me, look at me, look at me, but it's
mm-hmm,
squaring, which is demanding action. It's
mm-hmm,
squaring Eris and Chiron in the ninth house. So there's going to be something internationally having to do with policy where he might be a petulant little kid and just
mm-hmm.
bleh, I mean, we've seen him just start blurting stuff before. This is a
Oh.
moment when he could start blurting stuff.
And
Have
another indicator of that is transiting Uranus is, I mentioned way back at the start of this, that is at 1 degree Gemini and is not going to leave 1 degree Gemini because it will station retrograde there, is sitting on his 11th house, Saturn in Gemini. Big message, breaking breaking boundaries, breaking open, whatever. Yeah, you add some words to it, Kathy. You're kind of good
Well,
at
this could
those.
be a huge change or a sudden change, information
Hmm.
about his leadership role in an organization. It could have something to do with what's been going on with him and government,
Hmm.
with how he's juggled stuff. And there could be
It
a
also
government.
also could be some secrets because it's opposing his Neptune. I forgot to add that bit. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, I know that there's an investigation against him in France. There could be other stuff because this is also
Mm,
pulling in Saturn and Neptune in the ninth house, transiting Saturn and Neptune. So around this time, there could be all kinds of stuff coming out of foreign governments at him because of things he did
mm-hmm,
to mess with their information systems. And he just
mm-hmm,
starts blurting. Now, he's been known to spill before. So next week there could be some kind of self-saving, wait a minute, I'm a big guy, I did this, blah, and then
mm,
it will play into other things that will continue to play out. So it's
mm,
entirely possible. We'll have to see what it could involve an election, it could involve a government, it could involve a
mm.
foreign country,
Yeah.
it could involve women, who knows? It could be everything,
Mm,
all of the
mm.
above.
And we've mentioned many times that that the election interference issue. There's been challenges to it in many other countries, and yes, though, and we talked last week about this. This will hold Substack post
Hmm.
about this ex-CIA whistleblower. Now already people are telling, talking about him being blue anon and he's just a conspiracy theorist and things like that. I know I downloaded his book on child trafficking and started to read it, and I've been following him on a couple of places, and I don't get that vibe, to be honest. I kind of feel like he's, do you? Have you? But then
No, I don't.
I've been called blue anon for us doing our videos. So
Yeah, fine. Bring it on. I don't
yeah,
care.
bring it on. No, I don't. But to go expand on that point, we could have more coming out
Yeah,
in that way from multiple places, and
right.
so it could be
Elon will be
coming
back
at
in the
him,
news next week.
yeah, at him or from him or both. So
Right.
yeah, so yeah, the other one we kind of I've kind of requested it because we did have a couple of YouTube comments talking about him because Thiel is a really weird character, and his Palantir got this huge contract worth 10 billion, and it's been getting other contracts, and we know he was behind Vance and things like that. He has a lot less going on, but I'm going to say because the nodes are stationary coming up to the eclipses, they're on his Pluto pretty much. Nessus is almost exactly opposing his Pluto, revealing his abuses of power or showing it more so that we see it. So, that's kind of one of the things. There's a few other things. Kathy, you saw a couple of things.
Well, that particular point that you're looking at uh, had the reset button hit it with the
Mm,
eclipse, the lunar
mm-hmm,
eclipse in the middle of March, which was at
mm-hmm,
23 Virgo, right on top of his series. And then we have a solar eclipse at the end of September that's going to be at the very end of Virgo, activating
mm-hmm,
his Uranus there in the 12th house, meaning either there's some massive change of fortune for him,
mm-hmm.
or news about what he's been up to comes blaring out into the public eye, or
And
all of that.
whilst I will, and I will qualify that this is, we don't have a time, so this is a sun on the first solar sign chart, but even so, they usually tell something, which is why we look at them. This
Mhm.
massive conjunction is only 3 degrees from the top of his chart. That's his public visibility. So they're big energies kind of showing things. I think we're going to see more of what he's really about, if that does that figure?
Yes, yes. And the new moon, I mean, sorry, the Aquarius full moon over the weekend is going
Mm.
to trine his sun. There are things that have been
Oh.
going on economically very well for him, especially with
Mm-hmm.
that Jupiter and Venus together up there in the ninth. My God, that is this huge contract, if nothing else. But there's more, and it's going to start to
Mm-hmm.
come out. We may not really see what's been going on until
Mm-hmm.
the eclipses start washing some things out in September, and it could
Mm.
take another 6 months for it to play out. Oh, and guess
Then,
what
as
that is?
transiting Chiron is sitting on his north node, which means it's opposing his south node in Libra, and Chiron's stationed retrograde at this degree. So his nodes are being really activated. This is all about his identity and how people see him and how he presents himself, and how, because it's in those houses. But Aries and Libra is that as well, but it's also about his actions and justice as well, I think, with the south node in Libra in many ways. Would you agree?
Yes, but 27 Libra, 27 Aries, does that ring a bell? It's
it's
Kamala's sun and moon. Her sun is
it
at
is.
27 Libra on his south node, and her
Mm-hmm.
Aries is at 27 on she's karmically poised to go after him.
Mm-hmm. She is. I have noticed that.
We're just pointing it out to
Exciting.
everyone.
Oh no, I know. Yeah, I thought I'd leave that one for you because I was
Thank
like,
you.
this one's so much fun.
It's
So
juicy.
yes. And lastly, because she's really in the news, awful person, we thought we'd look quickly at Ghislaine. When we do have a time for her. I think it's a good time from what I remember. Uh, the nodes again, because we're going up to eclipse season, and the fact we've got Nessus there revealing abuses of power are on her 11th and 5th house cusp, basically right through this. So this is, kind of about um, this could be about children or younger people, teenagers, things like that. The 5th house, in many ways, about her
Hmm.
actions, because Mars is going through it. And then this is kind of coming out to the public, like the public really starting to see. I had this big kind of intuitive hit this week. I talked to Kathy about it. We were on a different thing last night. I just think we're going to find out that she had probably even more to do with kind of the organization than the person who supposedly killed himself in his cell.
Could you put the Aquarius full moon as the outer ring?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Moon conjunct Sun. I'll do the opposition because that would help. So this is tomorrow. So we have the full moon is on her node. Oh wow. Yeah.
Uh-huh. On her nodes.
And her
So,
moon really. So
you
well, the
know,
sun is,
she
yeah.
and it's forming a square. Juno in the
Ooh.
sky it's a T square to Juno in her sixth house. So do not
Mm.
think that it's the end of the story if she suddenly remarkably uh gets
Escapes or gets a
gets out of
pardon. Oh.
prison. It could happen under this, and there
Mhm.
it will be not a smart thing
Mm.
if that's
And
what happens.
I know the orbs are pretty wide, but because we have a time for, I think it's important. This square to Juno, remember sacred contracts, women, children, Ceres in Taurus, bodily kind of needs in her 12th house of secrets or self undoing. Um, I think this full moon, even if she does mysteriously not end up in prison anymore, again, the story's not over, as Kathy says.
Well,
It's
look at
not
where
ending.
Nessus is. Look at where Nessus is.
Her, which one? The transiting or the?
Yeah, transiting.
Yeah, yeah, right here, 20 degrees.
And remind people again of what that is.
Revealing abuses of power. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I do want to mention that later this year, Uranus will go retrograde all over her Nessus too, in that 12th house.
It'll sit really close to it for months. So even if
It
she gets
will.
out over the weekend, things will be not at all pleasant for her well
Yeah.
into the middle of next year.
Yeah. And the victims' families and the victims are all starting to speak out more. Virginia's brother was on, and his wife were on network news. You mentioned Gloria Allred and
Hmm.
Katie. And other victims, lawyers are starting to speak out, aren't they, about saying, what about the victims? What about the victims? Because there's supposed to be over 1,000. Yeah. So,
One final thing,
mhm.
in transiting eighth house, what is that?
Pholus. Mhm.
Pholus, and Pholus
Cause
is
and effect.
squaring her Eris in the 11th house,
It is, and it's
right?
pretty. It's heading because it's retrograde. It's coming back to her Mercury too.
Hmm.
News,
Yeah, so if you get news,
information.
if we get news about her that makes you go, oh no, uh, she's not, it's not going to be a bed of roses for her. Uh-uh,
And
uh-uh.
and one other thing I will mention, without going through all the aspects, is we started looking at all these placements around 0, 1, 2 degrees. Look where her Uranus is. 0 degrees, where that new moon is that we just looked at the end on the 23rd, 22nd, 23rd. Uranus, radical change, shocks, news,
Uh-huh.
things.
In
Yeah,
her, where she is where her residence is, where her home is.
yeah. So
Also the
that
house
could
of
be the
end of
shock of her
days.
being pardoned, because people are rumored that it's rumored she's going to be pardoned at the end of the month. And if she is, I just think the outcry is just going to be, yeah,
Because cause and effect.
yes, exactly. So for all of them, these are kind of more the players behind the scenes, but we've always tried to say that this is beyond just, the apparent resident of our White House.
Way beyond.
Is way, way beyond. So anyway, as always, do your self-care, operate from joy, have some fun in your lives. This is all unfolding. Do what you can. Yes, if you call your, representatives, do things like that if you're called to, but it's all unfolding, I think. Anyway, Kathy.
I'll say two things. One, August 12th, be really nice to yourself. Take advantage of it.
Mm.
If your head is in a bucket of ice cream all day, so be it. If you're in the water all day, so be it. And secondly, I've declared it take your teddy bear to work day. Secondly, between now and the end of September, and maybe even longer than that, we are in a huge, tumultuous time where a lot of things could,
Mm,
and well, a lot of things will change. So the way things are now and the way it looks like they're going, no, no, this is the corridor when it all like
mm.
tilts.
And join me on my YouTube channel, Cosmic Owl Astrology, or my Facebook, Cosmic Owl Astrology. I'm having a book launch virtual party. I'm just going to hang out on live streaming for about an hour and a half, just having fun, celebrating the book and myself. Why not? So you could just
What
come
time
and
is
hang
that?
out with me. 12 Mountain till 1:30 p.m. Mountain. So that's 11 Pacific or 2 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. in the UK. Sorry, Australia, you'll be in bed, but I couldn't. Yeah. Anyway, I just want, to hang out and just go, hey, I'm really proud of myself. Why not? So
Excellent.
Have fun, everybody, and wish Kathy fun in on her travels next weekend.
All right, bye.
Bye.